When the facelifted GolfR came into South Africa, the Mark 7.5, VWSA only put 213 kilowatts into it, which is a bit strange to us because the facelifted S3, which was here before it, came with the fully fledged 228 kilowatts. Well, now to settle some of the Golf fans, VWSA has upped the power to 228 kilowatts, which now matches the S3, but they've also added some extra options to the spec list, such as an Akrapovic exhaust system. Let's go have a look at that. Having driven it for a while, I have to admit they don't actually sound that great, but they do look pretty cool. So if you're someone who likes a little bit more sound and likes to stand out a bit more, this might be an option for you. So all that's left to do now is get behind the wheel and see if that extra 15 kilowatts makes a big difference. You know, the thing about the Golf is it's always going to have a massive following in South Africa, I think. Especially with the R and maybe a little bit more the GTI. These cars are very user-friendly. It's very easy to use on a daily basis. You don't feel too uncomfortable. As is the same with most hot hatches today. The Honda Civic Type R and the Megane RS are very easy to use on a daily basis. But those cars have a bit more edge to them. This is a bit more refined. And if you put it through the paces, it won't have much of a problem keeping up with those two cars. You've got a great turbocharged engine which doesn't suffer from much lag, a fantastic dual clutch transmission, which I think the only car you're going to find a better transmission is in maybe Porsche's PDK. And you've got a pretty good all-wheel drive system. It can be a bit front heavy at times, which can throw you off in a car like this where you have a lot of confidence to take corners quite quickly, but it's very easy to learn the characteristics of this car. So the problem with the GolfR, however, is that it may just be a little bit too refined. Engine's a little bit quiet, even with the Akrapovic. You can hear it's not that loud. A lot of the noise is induced through the speakers, so for a purist, you won't really be satisfied. Another big weakness of the GolfR, I think, is its slightly smaller brother, the GTI, which is a hot hatch that's a lot more accessible at its price point. What I feel with this GolfR is it should be a lot more powerful. It should be in that 260, 270 kilowatt categories, which a lot of guys, they do the performance chip and they push it to that power and they're happy with it. But in terms of overall sound and feel, the GolfR is pretty much on par with the S3. A lot in the GolfR is also not standard. So if you go through the list, it's the speakers, the infotainment, the exhausts. Pay extra for all of that stuff, and if you aren't careful with your speccing, you could get a GolfR up into the 800,000 Rand region, which is crazy. The Akrapovic exhausts, I think the standard sound is going to be enough because you don't get a lot from that. If I were to have a GolfR, I'd make sure it's manual, cloth seats. I'd only need 2 doors. I wouldn't need the fancy radio. I'd want as little on it as possible. Based on what the GolfR promises to do, it's very difficult to fault it because it does everything that it says it does.